is not really good quality. Do you have another microphone, or can you call in from your number? Gorka, I cannot hear you. Your voice is too low and the quality is very bad. Gorka, may I ask you to call from the teleconference tools? Just click on the top. There's communicate, teleconference, join teleconference. They will show you a phone number that you can call. And from there on, you can put the access code and the ID number. But then you can call from there and you maybe will have a better audio quality.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? No. Gorka, your voice is, sound is very low. Can you please raise the sound volume on your microphone or change microphone or something?
No, I cannot. I'm trying to change the current level, the telephone number, but I don't know how to.
We can't hear your voice. The volume is very low.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. Here everything works fine. I don't know.
Test. And how is my voice?
Your voice is clear. High and clear.
Okay. Then one moment, please. Kaldırabilirsiniz yoksa maksimumda. Kompüterden girişi.
Kaldırsan fon vereceğim.
Biraz kaldırın biz yoklayalım. Hello, can you say something?
Hi, hello, this is Dr. Speaking
Biraz da.
from the Reino Madrid.
Biraz da kaldırabilirim.
Okay.
Okay, 1 minute please. Okay, once again.
Hi, hello,
No.
how is my voice?
Mikrofonu azaldı. Yalnız şey kaldırın da naushnik'i.
Ne niye?
Mikrofonu değmeyin yani. Mikrofonun girişte de sizde. Yalnız kompüterden girişi kaldırabilirsiniz.
Kardeşim kompüterden çox giriş qaldırsan, çünki təksən yüzə danışır. Başda sənə kompüterdən fon verir, gürüldamağa. Fon verir.
Onun səsi çox az gəlir də. Çox az gəlir. Eşitmə olmur nə deyir o. Test again. Hello.
This is Gorka speaking.
Okay. Much better.
Gorka calling, much better.
Much better, much better.
Okay.
so I can clearly understand what you are saying.
Yeah. Do you want any sort of video?
So maybe so do you planning some video sharing with us or something?
Oh, I was checking. I have also a webcam. Yes, to see me
Okay,
when
if you have webcam, so in order if you have webcam, you have to see the webcam icon to the right of your name and the participant list. So just click on it.
you have to give me the permission.
Yes, already.
Already good. Okay. Hi, here is Gork again.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Gorka.
Hi, hello.
Hello. So
Everything works fine?
everything works fine. Yes.
Oh, yes.
¿Me ven acá?
May I talk
¿Me
to
ven o no?
Olga,
¿Dónde está?
please?
Sí, no, él no me ve a mí.
No,
¿Dónde está la cámara?
he can't. He
Ah,
can't
no, no
look.
puedo estar.
So you can.
Hola, Gorka. Gorka. Hello, ¿cómo estás?
Estoy hablando con Nacho por Skype.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to ask a question to the audience. I know some of you do. I would like to know how many of you speak Spanish.
Hola, Gorka, ¿me escuchas? Gorka.
Okay.
Gorka.
No. Sometimes we have this workshop in Spanish because we all of the people we do it every year, and sometimes the people in the room, all of us do speak
Okay.
Spanish. So the problem is that then we don't have transcripts
Okay.
because transcription is only for English. So having the fact that we have some other participants that don't speak Spanish, we will hold it in English. But as you know, every year we follow the evolution of the Spanish language and Native American languages in the internet. That's the purpose of the presentation of the workshop today. The idea of some friends of us that have agreed to present their experiences is to show how can we get involved and generate relevant content in other languages than English. In my case, I am involved in a project which is creating relevant content in Wikipedia in Spanish with my students at the diplomatic career. This is a project that I want to share with you. And we have here two friends of us from Latin America. My friend Eduardo Santoyo from .co. Hola, Eduardo. And my friend Andres Piazza from LACNIC. He was a student of a South School of Internet Governance in our first edition in Buenos Aires, and he's a good friend of all of us. And we have two remote panelists that unfortunately couldn't come to Baku. We have Gorka Orueta from Universidad del País Vasco. I don't know if he's hearing me. And we have Nacho Amados. Is Nacho online? Adri, ¿está Nacho en línea? Adrián está ocupado. So I would like to start with some brief comments about the Spanish in the internet. Spanish is the third spoken language in the world, and the country with more presence in Spanish in the web is Spain, with more than 70% of users that use internet and speak Spanish. And then there are three countries which are the leaders in Latin America: Chile, Colombia, and Argentina. The rest of the countries have lower penetration of internet, but growing steadily in the past years. Interesting thing is that when we say that when we say that Argentina has certain penetration, or Chile, or Peru, or República Dominicana, we tend to think that all these people speak the same language, which is Portuguese or Spanish. But that is not the case. There are other languages that are present in this region. By the way, there is one country that is quite practically bilingual, which is Paraguay, where 90% of the people do speak two languages. One is Spanish, and the other language is Guarani. So some of these users of the internet in these countries should be divided into Spanish or Portuguese speakers and speakers of other languages. Main languages in the Latin American region, in the South American region, are Aymara and Quechua, and some other foreign languages as well. interesting thing is United States. United States has a English as a national language, but the population that do speak Spanish is growing steadily over the years, and the users of the internet in United States, the percentage is higher, so the presence of the Spanish-speaking community in the internet is in the United States is very high. The Center for Investigation of Instituto Cervantes thinks that there are around 25 million of people that speak Spanish, active participants in the internet in the United States. This makes United States the third country relevant to the Spanish-speaking community, which seems something for me, very interesting and relevant. And we saw now re-elected President Obama. I don't know if you saw the video that he made in Spanish to capture the attention to the Spanish community in the United States. So this makes an interesting market, the United States, for developing content in countries of Latin America. And I wanted to share some other figures with you that I have here with me. And also social networking. Argentina is one of the countries with more presence in Facebook from the Spanish-speaking community, and other networks are very popular in the region. And I would like now, after talking about my own project with Wikipedia, I would like to see if our remote panelists are there. Yeah? Gorka, are you there?
Yes, here I am.
¿Está Nacho? No?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Not Nacho. Gorka. In the meantime, Gorka is doing a very interesting project with the language of his region, which is Euskera. He works in the University of País Vasco. And what I find really interesting is that younger people is much more involved with the regional language than perhaps people of the age of his parents, because they have found that connecting through the internet, generating content of the local language gives them more relationship with their roots. And the university itself is promoting classes in the language and development content in the language. ¿Y? ¿Está?
Can you hear me, Olga? Can you hear me?
Can we hear one remote participant? ¿Podemos? ¿Pero pueden hablar? ¿Puede hablar Gorka?
Yo te oigo, Olga. La calidad del audio no es muy buena.
¿Sí? ¿Gorka estás? Ay, no lo escuchamos. No te escuchamos. ¿Vos sí nos escuchás? Yo no te escucho. Él sí nos escucha.
Yo escucho, ¿eh?
Orca, ¿tú me oyes a mí, verdad?
Estamos tratando.
No nos oyes, Olga. Nosotros entre nosotros sí que nos oímos.
Sí que
¿Alguien
nos
nos
oímos.
oye?
Yo sí le escucho a Nacho y escucho a Olga de fondo. ¿Os escucháis en Baku?
Baku, Baku, Baku.
Sí los escuchamos.
Ah, perfecto.
Hola Gorka, hola Nacho, habla Eduardo Santoyo.
¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estamos?
Aquí estallándolos.
La sala no se escucha, tú estás allá, ¿verdad?
Es que no habéis venido, que no es lo mismo.
Sí, aquí estoy, pero yo creo que ya todos los escuchamos.
¿Podemos empezar con uno? Okay. The idea is to start with, can we start with Orca and then with Nacho? Do you agree with that order?
Gorka, ya puedes pasar adelante.
Te vemos y te escuchamos, Gorka.
Sí, ¿queréis que hable en castellano o en inglés?
We will do it in English because we have some audience that don't speak Spanish. So for the sake of being polite, we have to speak in a language that we all can handle.
Okay, don't worry about that. Thank you very much, Olga. It's a pleasure to take part in this workshop.
Gorka, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I heard you.
Okay, but
I heard you. Can you hear me?
your voice is very low.
Your voice is low, but
Your
we
voice
can
is low.
hear
Can
you.
you increase the microphone volume on your computer?
Well, okay, the microphone is on the laptop, so I will put myself closer. Maybe you will only see my big face, and I will start. I will do an introduction.
No les hagas caso,
about
Gorka, yo te escucho bien.
the language. The humans has created in history between 40,000 languages, but they are only used like 6,000, between 6,000 and 6,000 and 9,000. And some sources, they are estimating that each 2 months one language is getting lost. So to preserve the linguistic diversity, it has become one of the priorities also for politicians, of course. So one question that we should make is, the way that the linguistic diversity it affects to the internet, which kind of effect it has. We have to remind, of course, that in 2012 we are close to 3,000 millions of users, but indeed the 90% of the content of the internet it is concentrated just in 12 languages, and English, of course, it has become the lingua franca. So the other question we have to make is that is internet culturally neutral? Be one question, but if we take in account the dimension and how it represents the reality, the topography, the governance, but the protocols or the norms and rules, we should say that internet it continues strongly linked to the English language, and then we can see that. Then we can talk about a linguistic divide on the internet, because Latin alphabet is the most used. It's like 84% the internet, when the population of the world that uses Latin script is only the 39%. And of course, we can see a preeminence or a leading of the English by the protocols, the norms, also the content, and as I said before, also in the governance. We have to remind also which was the objectives and the challenges of the World Summit on Information Society, that it was to promote the development of contents in different languages, to facilitate and to promote the presence and the use of other languages on the internet than English. So, as I told before, diversity, cultural identity, but linguistic diversity, local contents is one of the most important question right now on internet governance. So that's why I would like to underline again the importance of this workshop in the IGF, in the Internet Governance Forums. But let's talk about a bit where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a really small area in the north of Spain, between Spain and France, that is called Basque Country in English, or País Vasco in Spain. The language we're using, it's quite different. It's not coming from the Latin languages, and it is also spoken in the community of the Basque Country where I live, in Navarre, also in Spain, but also in the south part of France. We are at least a population of 3 million of people, and what happened in our area is that in the 19th and in the 20th century, there was a huge diaspora, first to the United States and to Argentina, Chile, and in the second half of the 20th century to Mexico, Venezuela, Cuba, and Uruguay. The proof of that Basque diaspora are the huge number of Basque houses, cultural centers that they are spread through all the Americas, not only in South America, but also in the United States. We have also a really rich language, because we could talk also about many Basque languages. Depends on the part where you live. We talk a different kind of Basque, and sometimes the understanding between us is quite different. So we can also talk about linguistic diversity inside the Basque language. So the efforts by the governments, and the regional and the local governments, it's been since the 90s to promote the use of the Basque language, also in education, of course, at the schools, but also in the administration, because there's many people who goes to the administration to and who wants to ask them to speak in Basque language. This promotion of the language, it has become more important indeed when internet has become also a reality and everyday tool. So our improvement of the language on the internet, it has begun in three main areas. There has been the transference, the social use, but also the quality of the language. And in this regard, we have been working the community, working on education also for adults, but also inside the families, creating educative books and materials, but also online courses for the people to learn Basque. But one part really important in this regard has been the translate of many applications to the Basque language, like all the browsers, like the Firefox or the Explorer or the kind of browsers that they are mainly used on the internet. With this, and I will finish in a few minutes. As a consequence of this effort, now we can say that for example, the Wikipedia that is in Basque language, it is in the 32nd position between 285 different Wikipedias. We are, as I told you, in the 32nd positions with at least 150,000 articles, but up to the Bulgarian, to the Croatian, or to the Hebrew. Okay, this is very good news as to congratulate, and it should also be a good news to continue promoting the Basque language on the internet. And the last thing that I would like to remark is, as Catalans, and then we will see if Nacho Amadoz from Barcelona, he could take part in this forum. We are also asking. We also already asked for a TLD, a new TLD for the Basque language. It is .eus, and we will try to get it. We hope so that the presence and of the Basque language, Basque culture, will be more. Will have more presence on the internet in the future. And to finish, one of the things that we are working right now is to adapt the language to the new devices and all the new tools that they are being used by the digital natives, that they are the youngs in the Basque area, of course. So to adapt all the contents to the new devices and the new platforms that they are used by the digital natives, that they are the future users on the internet. Olga.
One question, Gorka, can you hear me? When you teach at the university, you teach in which language?
Basque language.
In Basque. That's great. And they are young people, right? You teach young students.
Yeah, 20 years old.
Great. So that's remarkable. I think that you're building the platform for younger people to use the language more intensively. So thank you very much, Gorka, for your presentation. And now I would like to invite our good friend Nacho, who has been patiently there. He was worried because he couldn't communicate. But now, Nacho, we can see you. We miss you here. We miss you, Gorka, here as well. All the community, all the Spanish-speaking community miss you here, and other friends as well. And thank you for being with us this afternoon here in Baku. And sorry, this headphone thing is complicated. The .cat Foundation they have a very interesting project about a TLD that Nacho will explain to promote the relevant usage of the Catalan language, and they have become a pioneering project and a good example of how to promote local languages and how internet can be the vehicle to promote the usage of this language. Nacho, welcome, and we are very happy to see you in the distance, and welcome, and we hear you.
Thank you, Olga. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect, excellent.
And see you as well.
Inconveniences, because I've been going through several inconveniences, technical-wise, because there was some problem with the WebEx, but now it looks like it's working fine. So, merit where is due. So I have also to recognize, acknowledge, and praise the efforts you have always been undertaking to organize these workshops and to bring in all of us together to talk about these different aspects of the internet that perhaps within the industry are not as exposed as they should be, were it not for the things that you've been doing, like the South Summer School, for example. And I know you had a workshop about that before, where Gorka was also a participant at his 5:30 a.m. So that is something also to commend and to praise. Now, coming back to what we have to talk to, that is about communities' use of languages and how to enable the communities to use their languages and to make a normal use of internet in relationship with their culture. Yes, it is true that we have been sort of the poster boy, the community till this, and that is because mainly of one thing. We did exist before the current program. That is not it's not my merit. That is something that relied on many people's efforts. That's one of them of the others, and that was Amaterasu, which most of you already know from your participation in the ICANN meetings, and well, you all know that within the industry, he is very, very well regarded, and he had this idea many years ago about how to promote the use of his language on the internet, how to create an infrastructure, given the opportunities that the internet could offer for the communication, how to create an infrastructure that could reflect on the internet what was already existing offline. That was a community of people, regardless of the size, but in our case it was a huge size. You consider another language, which is one term I would like to come back later, because this is one term that's it shouldn't be used, or at least does not reflect the situations as we believe it should. So he had this idea about creating this infrastructure to promote the use of of Catalan and to give it some visibility, because that was one of the main problems, the lack of a clear identifier to reflect your identity. Of course, you can use any language under almost any top-level domain extension, but that is not the point. The point is to show it through your identifier and to demonstrate to the outside world as well as to your community that there are things that can be done. And in that regard, .cat has been successful. We believe we have a lot of space to grow and improve, but it is also true that the number of registrations and the degree of content provided through the .cat websites speaks about the necessity of this top-level domain. This is something that should also be considered when we talk about all those different communities that have been applied in the new GTLD program for a top-level domain, or those who still hasn't, but should consider doing it in future rounds. If you've been following the GTLD program, you will see that there are, I believe that there are 84 community applications, and some of them are related to linguistic and cultural applications. We've been working closely with some of them, especially the Europeans, the Basques, as Gorka said, the Galicians, the Bretons, but there are many others, not only in Europe, but also in the rest of the world. This round is already closed. This is hardly shocking news to the people listening to this intervention. We all know that it was closed. It would be good to analyze how the communities have been regarded by the and therefore by ICANN as a special case should be promoted, because it is in accordance with the global interest and the diversity of the DNS, which is part of the bylaws of ICANN. So if we have these communities fully endorsed by their respective civil societies and local administrations, participated and built up bottom up from a huge network of volunteers grouping together and creating these new entities to work together, why this shouldn't be taken into account and be promoted in other parts of the world that have not yet got there? Perhaps these other parts of the world have not created any linguistic or cultural top-level domain application, because the industry that could help promote these initiatives is not still so mature. But this is not because there is not the need. There is a need. .cat shows that when the vehicle is provided, the adoption by the community that it is serving is huge. It is financially viable. It will be financially viable in all these new projects, and we shouldn't see any reason why it shouldn't be financially viable in the new projects for the new round. There's one of the components that I would like to stress, and that is the public interest that ICANN is representing on the DNS, align with the local interest that these applications are representing. They are giving a tool to the communities to improve their sense of community online. Just that. It's enough to go ahead, in our belief. And I guess that my intervention ends there, because this is main point of the message I wanted to send. There's the history of .cat. It's an old history already. We are in the middle step where there are some applications that have been following the model that .cat said have come to life and will hopefully in less than 1 year and a half come to become registries. But we should be looking forward to how can we help and promote this kind of model that could serve the needs of many different communities that speak different languages. Let's not say minority language. In some cases, these languages have been minoritized, or in some cases, these languages have a number of speakers that sometimes exceeds the number of speakers of some official languages in the European Union. So let's talk about languages and the community that supports that language, because that language can be as alive as many other if it's given the tools needed to let it enter into this new digital era. And that's all from me.
Nacho, can you hear me? I would like to ask you a question. As far as I understand, there is a registration policy for .cat that the web page links to a domain .cat must have relevant content in Catalan. Will that be a similar registration policy for .barcelona or .bcn? Is that the idea, or you haven't developed it so far?
We still don't know. There has to be a strong component of that policy. But being a CTTLD, perhaps it's not as hardcore component as it is in the case of .cat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we turn right to my friends Eduardo and Andres. Eduardo, being a friend from the region and being in Colombia, and being a CCTLD manager of .co, could you share your experience about the growth of .co? Why do you think .co has been so successful in the region compared with other CCTLDs? It's because the language, it's because it's similar to other TLDs. What do you think that what happens with the electricity? Eduardo has to talk. Also, I know you have lived in other countries in Latin America, so maybe you can share your experience with us. And also, what do you think about the generation of content in Spanish? How do you see it growing, and how do you see it relevant to the growth of the internet in the region?
Okay, thank you, Olga. Thank you for inviting me to share with you some of my experiences on this. And first of all, I'd like to quote a sentence that I wrote in the memories of the third International Symposium on Multilingualism on cyberspace that had been held during 2012. They said that actually there are only 500 languages within the universe of 7,000 languages in the planet that have some presence on internet. That's just to be aware of which is the size of the problem, which is the size of the challenge that the world have, because indeed it's clear that if you don't have the possibility to express or to receive information in your own language, you are clear disadvantage access to the information. In Latin America, we had a lot of languages. We have probably two main languages, which is Aymara and Quechua. Those two languages are official languages for two countries, for Bolivia and Peru. The Quechua is an spoken language. All the indigenous languages are spoken languages. They are not written languages. They don't have the written possibilities for the language. And I will bring to this point later in this discussion. But just to mention that there have been many efforts in order to preserve those languages. the Quechua and the Aymara in the region. They are because it's also clear that every single language is a huge archive of information, traditions, and values from the cultures that are very difficult to preserve if they are not preserved in their own languages. Because in the translations, they're losing a lot of the temper of the messages. And saying that, I'm gonna be back now about some experience that we had when I was living in Peru. I was living in Peru for almost 10 years. During those 10 years, I had the experience and the responsibility to work with the Peruvian Scientific Network, who had some activities in order to introduce the use of internet within the country. And I had an experience working with some indigenous called the Ashaninkas. In a specific, we was trying that they use internet for their own develop. And the problem that we had at that time is the Ashaninkas, they don't read the language. They just speak the language. The tradition is completely oral. And at that time, we are lucky right now because the technology is better. Now we have the possibility to have videos and to easily have access to that videos in many places because the broadband is expanding and making it easy to have access to this technology. But at that time we had a very good experience with them, but the experience has to be related to trying to get them their voice on the net, the not written messages. There was recording the things that they want to share, and now they are sharing a lot of information within the Ashaninkas in Brazil, in Peru, in Ecuador. This is a very interesting process because now they are preserving their culture. They are having the possibilities to have the use of internet in order to get better communications within them, their own tribes. But it's really a big concern that probably those communities will be too much influenced for the foreign languages for them, the Spanish, I said, because most of the content is in Spanish, if not in English. Of course, the English for them are more, and they have more distance to get access to the English content to the Spanish content. After all, many of them are bilingual, use their own lingual, as Aymara or Quechua, and Spanish. We need to put more information in them, from them on the net. We need to preserve their culture, we need to preserve their values, and probably we should help them trying to put some part of their cultural values in the net in Spanish and in English. And of course try to do that everything we can in order that they could preserve their own languages. And probably it should be giving them access to high technology capabilities where they can put their content in video way, with audio way. In Colombia, the Ministry of Culture, the program began in the Ministry of Telecommunications. It was called in mi idioma, in my idiom, in my language. It's trying to identify how to work with the indigenous languages in order to be preserved. And the program began in the Ministry of Telecommunication. After they said, it's not my field, it's not my responsibility. I cannot continue doing it because doing this, we are working in a very high, in a very deep cultural values that shall be conducive with the guide of the Ministry of the Culture. And now, this year, the program was transferred to the Ministry of Culture, and now they have the responsibility to guide the process and to execute the program that is called En Mi Idioma, which pursues to put in online a lot of information of Colombian languages. We have in Colombia several languages from indigenous origin. We have tribes on the Amazonas, in La Guajira in the north of Colombia. In the south, we have at least 3 different indigenous tribes with different languages. And it's now very important that we as a country have realizing the importance to preserve their languages, to preserve their cultures, to preserve their values. Now we are having programs on that. Finally, they began just a year and a half, well, no more than 2 years ago. But now we are having that. We are happy for that. And okay, and saying the other point that Olga asked me about that CEO is probably because it has having nothing to see with indigenous speaking languages. It's because that CEO, this one, those letters that you can see here, are very meaningful in many languages, not only in Spanish. In Spanish could mean, like for us in Colombia, that Colombia, this is the abbreviation of Colombia, but in other places, for instance, where the people speak in English, for them, the main meaning of this is company, the first reading of this is company, and that's probably the reason why many people, the domain name .co has been used by many people all around the world, but has nothing to see with the indigenous speaking languages.
Do you know how much content is below .co in Spanish or other languages? Perhaps it's something that it's not available. Perhaps you have an idea.
No, I don't have an idea about the content, but I have an idea about how many .cos has been registered in countries where Spanish is the main language, and this is more or less that 12% of our registrations come from countries, almost Colombia, where the Spanish is the main language. 88% could be in different languages. That CEO has been distributed and acquired by people from more than 200 countries all around the world.
So there's no limitation for someone that wants to have a .co about where they come from. They can be in another continent, or in Colombia, or in Argentina, or wherever.
That's a political decision that Colombia took in the 2008. Yes, no limitation. Everyone who want to have a .co, there's a Colombian resource, could have it. But it will be submitted to the Colombian law and to the Colombian policy. But yes, everyone.
Thank you very much. And now I turn to my friend Andres from LACNIC. LACNIC is our regional RAR, but it's much more than RAR. They have a relevant role in capacity building and doing very nice meetings in the region, and preparing nice documents, very informative about IPv6 transition, and about they also were involved in the installation of root servers in the region, and also with the promoting internet exchange points and other things that make internet more available for all the people in Latin America. So I really commend the work that LACNIC is doing, and Andres is so is with us today. I would like to really stress the fact that the webpage of LACNIC is always available in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and that is for our region extremely convenient and enabling for the participation, not only for Latin Americans but also for other people in the world that want to know about the region. Andres, can you give us some experiences that why LACNIC is in 3 languages? All the RARs have their web pages in 3 languages or more languages. What's the is there a standard among you that you agree?
Hi, Olga. This, I guess, the problem comes with the speakerphones. I think now it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate Olga and Adrian here for this workshop. They are doing this since many years, and from a native Spanish speaker and a Latin American, I'm proud that you are driving this initiative of having multilingual workshop in the IGF, which is mostly driven in English. So I think we have to strengthen this space, and that's why I'm glad to be here collaborating with this panel. I also want to say hi to my 2 good friends, Gorka and Nacho, that I haven't seen them in a couple of months, and that's a lot. So I want to un fuerte abrazo. You can say abrazo in English, and it wouldn't mean the same. So I would use my Spanish. I hope Nacho is still there. Also, well, now I'm starting answering your first question. Well, LACNIC indeed it's one of the 5 regional internet registries. We are essentially IP addresses registries. For many of the audience are aware of the internet ecosystem, so I wouldn't be explaining much more about that. Santoyo is one of the representatives of the other part of the ecosystem, which are the CCTLDs, the domain names from the different countries of our region, and he's also the chair of LACTLD, who when we wouldn't forget about that. And well, our organization has a profile that has a lot to do not only with our technical functioning. We drive one of the core part of the internet, and we are very proud of that, and that role we have. But we also are an organization from the community, and we like to engage with the community and to promote the development of the internet. Our mission, actually, and it has been changed during the years, because we turned 10 years like last week. We did a celebration, and our organization, our mission has changed, and now has a lot to do with the internet development in the region, and with also the consolidation of an open internet, and with the goal and the aim to try to get access, universal access. So we are not only committed with our technical function, but also with all those projects that you explained, and another project which is particular for me. It's one of the greatest projects of our organization, and 2 other internet registries, which is the FRIDA program in LACNIC and the SEED Alliance. They are displaying a lot of resources to support and to award initiatives that have to do with research, but also with access and diversity, and the 5 main topics of the main IGF, and promoting development in those topics in the region. So that SEED Alliance and that FRIDA program in LACNIC, they brought 5 awarded people from the region at the IGF, and they were awarded here as in the same sense APNIC and AFRINIC did that. So we have a lot of connection with the IGF as well. The NRO is also the organization, the umbrella organization for the 5 registries, is also supporting the IGF since the very beginning. So we are very connected to the IGF as well. And speaking particularly for languages, about languages, every RR has a different nature and a different essence. So we are the only one that has 3 official languages, but this wouldn't mean at all that the other ways are worse or ours is better. But it's somehow the way a way to recognize our cultural particular diversity. Also, it's easier for us because, for example, APNIC, their language is English for all of them. They are based in Australia, but they have. We do have a lot of languages, but with 3 languages we can cover most of our territory, which is Latin America and the Caribbean. So our trilingual organization, we have lists, the policy forum, the policy lists, any other of the side lists and the discussions that we have in the organization are in 3 languages, so people can post their opinions in 3 languages, in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. But also the staff and all the official communications that the organization does, all the announcements, the press releases, the content of the website, and all the official information we provide, it's translated to the 3 official languages. And especially when we do something for the Caribbean, we do also content in French. We have staff that it's capable of speaking 3 and even the 4 languages. Alexandra here speaks the 4 languages of the region, so I think she's the only one that is capable for the 4 languages, and the other ones are trilingual. But in Asia, it could be much more different for them. They could have, if they have to do that, they have to speak in 10 languages. So I wouldn't expect maybe APNIC or Afrinic, they have more languages, and this doesn't mean that they are not doing their job in a great way, which they are. But well, speaking about LACNIC in particular, we do want to recognize our particular essence as region, and this is funny because I've been involved and we met in that moment in the ICANN community for many years, and the Spanish was one of the languages that started at the beginning to claim for translation and for content in our language, and in UN is one of the official languages, but Spanish speakers are a minority. As I also imagine that it would happen the same with Portuguese speakers or others. But in our region, in LACNIC, we have 32 countries, and most of them, over 20, are Spanish speakers, and the population is like 600 million inhabitants, and 400 are let's say 350 are Spanish speakers, so the majority is Spanish speakers, and the minorities that we have to foster and we have to engage and to do positive discrimination are the English speakers. So it's quite interesting that we have to do the other way, and normally in the internet discussions or international discussions, Spanish is the weak language and English is the strong language, and in our region it's the other way around, and it's quite funny. But we do a lot of effort to engage the Caribbean, especially Portuguese. Well, Brazil is only one country that speaks Portuguese, but they are 200 million inhabitants. It's almost a continent itself, so we do have a lot of content in Portuguese and relation with the community. This may sound as one of, or maybe I'm selling LACNIC and the way we deal with that, but the reason that what I am here is also not only to do that, because it would be I wouldn't be comfortable just saying how good my organization is. I'm very proud of my organization, but what I'm trying to say is that we represent one part of the internet community, and we want to keep engaging people that are native of different languages, and we don't want that language is a barrier for participation. We want to foster participation. So in this sense is that we are trying to also helping with this type of initiatives, and that is the way I'm deeply honored to be here, because I think this type of initiatives that you are, Olga and Adriana, are leading are very important for engaging more people, and I've seen during my career involved in internet discussions, I've seen people that were not native speakers, and they started being involved, and then as they could, because of translations and things that made them easier to participate, they could also learn the language. During the 5 years they've been involved in the discussions, then as they could get some things in Spanish, they could learn the English in that way. And in Latin, it happens the same. Most of the people in Latin Spanish speakers are learning Portuguese because as they could engage with the Portuguese community, then they are learning the language as well. So I think it's a very rich experience and exchange. Okay, I'm finished here. I hope. Thank you very much for my invitation.
Thank you very much, Andres. And the reason that why I ask about other web pages is that I want to stress the fact that having a web page with relevant content in 3 languages is an effort. And I want to stress that LACNIC does that effort, that it's extremely enabling for all the people in the region. So I really commend you for that, and I think it's hard to do that, and I think it takes a lot of time and effort, but I think it's fantastic. Languages are my hobby. This is why I was interested in this languages issue in the internet. I don't
and
work.
You also do speak a lot of languages as well.
Not a lot. I speak several, but some, not so many. But this is I really think that having that web page in 3 languages is enabling. I remember that my first ICANN meetings were full English all the time, and I was talking to other people and I said, why don't we have translation? And they say, why, it's expensive and nobody uses the headphones. I said, well, maybe at the beginning, but with the time they will start to use the translation, and the material then keeps recorded, and we have now the transcripts of the sessions, and that is the content that people can revise with time. And but you speak English, what's your problem? I said, it's not my problem, it's the problem of other people. I want more people to participate, not only those of us that were lucky to speak the language. So any comments from the audience? Amparo? Are there languages in República Dominicana that are local and have some presence in the internet? Can we give a mic to Amparo? If not, we cannot hear you. You know, it works only through headphones. I know.
One of the countries.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. One of the countries, Anne said that I lived in an island that shared 2 countries, the Dominican Republic that speaks Spanish, and the Haiti that speaks French and Creole. And well, this is one of the challenges of the Caribbean. I want to point and to say something about the challenges that we have in the Caribbean, because in the Caribbean we have 4 languages blocks, and it's English-speaking countries, Spanish-speaking countries, French-speaking countries, and Dutch-speaking countries, and this is very, very important. And when Andres was saying about the effort of LACNIC to have a portal in 3 languages, this is a message that I would like to send to all my colleagues in the Caribbean, because the people that don't speak English well, we have a lot of trouble to communicate and to engage with the other countries in the Caribbean. And we don't have those experience in the Caribbean, for example, having a portal in the 2 or 3 or 4 languages, no? And I think this is something that we have to have as a goal, as an inspiration, to try to do better our integration process through ICTs. But ICTs has to pass through to deal with the 4 languages. And this is a big challenger in the Caribbean, no?
I agree. Jose, I'm sorry, I switched to English.
But also I want to say another thing for our population, no? Because here you can speak English well. I can speak English more or less. No, I can do. as well as I can. But the problem is our population, our base population. For example, in the Dominican Republic, to follow the IGF is very difficult because all the workshops are in English.
I know.
And we have most of our population don't speak English.
Yep.
Less than 5%, less than 2% of the population in the Dominican Republic speak English. And well, this is a barrier that we are facing to get Dominican people involved in the information society. No? And this is something that one of the things is that we need to, that the English is the second language in the Dominican Republic, and maybe in 10 years or in 15 years more, everybody is going to speak in Spanish and in English. But at the same time, we need también also to produce content in Spanish that are related with the local culture and the necessities of the people from Spanish-speaking countries. No?
Thank you, Amparo. Jose, you know some experiences that you could share with us from Chile?
Well, actually, it's not my field
I know,
at
but,
all. But
we're friends and we can share experiences. That's the idea.
In Chile, besides Spanish, we don't have any other official language, and also we had a native language of our how to say it, origin people,
Native Americans.
Native Americans in there. And the most well-known language is the Mapudungun, which is used by the Mapuche tribe in the southern part. And a curiosity about this is that, for example, Microsoft developed a version of Windows like 5 or 6 years ago, translated to Mapudungun. It's a difficult name even to pronounce, and well, it has pros and cons, but it had a good reception there. But actually, as I was saying, our country is 100% Spanish-speaking country. The penetration of English is really low. Chile is a long way from becoming a bilingual country.
How is the penetration of Spanish in Chile?
Well, that's a good question also, because we use like 90% of slang. 90% of slang is the Chilean language.
Would you share your ideas, Deidre, with us, because you're from the Caribbean and you speak English, so sometimes we have this regional meetings, and we are like 30 people and only 2 Caribbeans, and we all speak in English, and I find that really weird, but it's enabling. But at the same time, I always think that it's how many people in the Caribbean do want to speak Spanish, and they speak Spanish, so sometimes that would be also enabling from your side to ours.
Well, I'm Deirdre Williams. I do speak English. I come from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. We have 2 languages. We have a French lexicon Creole, which is mutually understandable with the Creole in Haiti, although it's not quite the same. I am very embarrassed because am I the only English speaker in this room? I cannot speak Spanish. There are more? Good. Mystica, some of you may remember Mystica. Mystica taught me to read Spanish. I had no Spanish at all, and Daniel Pimienta involved me in Mystica, and I can read Spanish quite fluently. I am very bad at speaking any other language. I cannot make the sounds. We had a prime minister in St. Lucia who was the father of the country and who said, computer a Pakapale Creole, which means the computer can't speak Creole. He was wrong. The computer can speak Creole, and there is some effort in St. Lucia to produce content in Creole on the computer. I don't know what to do about making English people like me speak other people's languages, because I am such a bad example myself. But I do know there is a resistance from a very few English speakers. Perhaps you should not be so accommodating to us. Perhaps you should crack the whip and
Well, you know, sometimes we have held this workshop only in Spanish, when in the room we were only Spanish-speaking people, or there were some speaking English but could handle Spanish as a second language. But the problem is that transcription is not provided, and you know the transcription is then reviewed by many people all year long, and after there are many people doing investigations, and so transcripts are important, but when you speak Spanish we don't have that in the room, and we don't have translation. So any other comments from the audience? Any other comments from our dear panelists? I would like to finish by sharing one project that I am involved in, and this is why I got interested specifically in the presence of Spanish in the region. I teach some of you know that when I came from Tunis, I proposed our minister that we should teach technology to the diplomats. I am an advisor to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So since then, and he liked the idea, and since then I coordinate a professorship about technology for diplomats, which is quite informative and not deeply technology driven, and they used to bring me papers when they finished their works, and they had to do an investigation about something, and I had a lot of paper, and one day I said, okay, fine, that's it. And I checked how many articles there are in Spanish in Wikipedia, and I realized that in relation with the amount of people that speak Spanish, those were low numbers. So now they have to do their work in Wikipedia. They have to, and the content is content revised and prepared by students that have a university degree and a postgraduate degree, which is the diplomacy career, and revised by professors which are specialists in the field. And the only condition is that they write in Spanish or Portuguese, and the article must be related with Argentina, with the region, or with their countries, because we have students from the region as well. And the experience has been extremely interesting, because they have written articles of so many different issues, environment, energy, satellites. So they have to create a new article, or they have to enhance an article that it's online, and they have to become Wikipedists. And it's a fantastic experience for them, because in general they are not very much technology oriented, because they many lawyers and have a list of links if some of you is interested in knowing what they have been doing, but it's a very interesting project, and I don't have to carry those papers anymore home, and then I have to throw them out because they are a lot of paper. And at the same time they feel very proud of their work. They feel that they made a contribution to the content of the internet about relevant things of the country in Spanish and related with technology, which is what I teach. So if we don't have more comments, or Deidre, you want to add something? Yes.
It's a question.
Okay.
In 1982, because my husband was away, I was on a panel which was designing an orthography for St. Lucian Creole. I wondered, for these indigenous languages in Latin America, whether there is any effort to create a written form for them to help them.
Yes, I guess that one of the biggest efforts on that way is that has been made for the Quechua. The Quechua is almost now a language that could be written, read it. I guess that Firefox has a browser. The browser is now adapted for Quechua too. But it's the only case I know. It's the only one. The other one I'm not. I know projects that has been doing in Bolivia with the Aymara, trying to put more content, but most of those content or that content are in speaking way, in audio, in interviews and video. But the Quechua is, I guess, and Quechua is a reason why doing that. Quechua was the official language of the Inca Empire. Quechua was a language that had been spoken in South America from Colombia to Argentina, and except yes, all those countries that now are Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Argentina, Chile, used to be part of the Inca Empire, and in all of those countries, the Quechua was the main language, and in some time, and that's the reason why probably they are still a huge, even in Peru right now, there are populations. There are some small towns where in the high mountains where they only speak in Quechua. They don't speak Spanish either. And this is the biggest effort that I know. But it's very important, yes, indeed.
Thank you, Eduardo. One of our panelists was our friend Jorge Vega from Microsoft, and they have several translations of Windows and some other tools into some Native American languages like Quechua and Aymara and Mapuche and I don't know, and Mayan also. But unfortunately, he had to travel and he couldn't come. Also, we had two panelists from Brazil that they are producing a lot of content for children in Portuguese and Spanish, but they couldn't fly and they couldn't join remotely. So we missed their experience and their knowledge about that. So are we any other comments? Okay, I want to thank everyone. I enjoy this workshop every year a lot. I like it very much, and thank you very much for... Sorry. Una pregunta. Gorka, sí, Gorka, no te veía. Perdón. Te escuchamos, Gorka.
Gracias. No, I just want. I know you are finishing, and I will be short in my in this intervention. But I would like to underline what said by Nacho and also by Eduardo, that I saw you through the WebEx, and it is the political relevance on what they say regarding first the cultural diversity. We are talking about Catalan, the Catalan experience, but also the Basque. But Eduardo, and there are many different languages, the cultural diversity, the linguistic diversity. This it is really huge. And listening Eduardo and Nacho, I was thinking on we are such a different communities with different languages, with different cultures. We are really we are so far away one from each other, but we share the same concerns, how to reach the internet as an opportunity to improve our languages on the real life, but also and through the internet. So what I'm thinking is that the applications that in this first round that is closed, it will be like a driving belt for other communities. Then I think we should move forward, continue with the job you're doing, Olga and Adrian, and continue to strengthen the relations between these minorized languages, and continue working on how with our collaboration in a multi-stakeholder model, we can improve our own languages, Olga.
Thank you, Gorka. I'm totally convinced that the internet is the opportunity to preserve many languages that are or endangered of disappearing or not so much well known and promoted. And people like you, I'm really impressed that you teach in one of your languages that you speak. I sometimes have to teach in English, and it's not the same like teaching in Spanish. I can do that, but it takes time. And I really commend you for that, and I commend your university for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, we are using also technical platforms.
I know.
First, we have to adapt the language for world politics, because that's language, it was not a tradition to use it in the university. We have to bring the language to the university and to an academic speaking way. But also we are using the ICT tools, the right words, and the things that the students they have to do. And also we have to adapt the language to new concepts that they were never said in Basque. So sometimes I feel like also an inventor on that. For me it's a really proud. I feel really proud on doing that, because I know that every day I'm doing something new for the Basque language, of course.
Great. Amparo.
No, I just want to finish with a very positive example that we had here in Baku. Every group has a boss, and the boss has a guy, and in our boss we have a lady, a young lady from Baku, and for our surprise, she was speaking in Spanish, and everybody said, oh, "Where? But you are from Baku?" "Yes." "And where do you learn Spanish?" "No, by internet." And she speaks Spanish very, very fluently, and she used internet, music, videos, movies, and she has never been in a Spanish speaking country, and was very surprised to find out this young lady and speaking Spanish in Baku, in Azerbaijan, by herself.
I'm really surprised, and one of the ladies like you are there in other workshop that I had to participate. She came to me and she said, "I like very much Natalia Oreiro." And I was surprised because she's very famous. I like Muñeca Brava. That was a soap opera. And the other day I turned on the TV and it was a soap opera from Argentina, translated into Azerbaijani. I said, "Oh, these actors are from Argentina." So we have a cultural link, and both countries have a strong economic relationship, which is good. And Gorka, we should do that Basque thing in Latin America, in Argentina. We have to start a university of País Vasco in Argentina, which is full of Basque people. Think about that.
Olga, would you repeat the question, please, because the audio was not really good.
We should start a university in Basque language in Argentina, which is full of Basque people. You have many friends there, I know.
Yeah, the biggest Basque diaspora.
I know.
Sitting in Argentina, where when I was in 1988, I was also teaching Basque.
Great. Okay.
And Kitchener is a second name from the Basco.
I didn't. Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm asking.
No, it's a German name.
Cristina is a name from the Basque country now.
Cristina Fernandez. It's a joke.
No, it's a joke. It's
Okay.
a joke.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Muchas gracias. Gracias, Gorka. Echeverría, sí, Vasco.